My name's Taylor Rowan, and this is Confident Risks. Today, we're going to talk about positivity versus negativity. Why are we so negative all the time? Why can't we be a little bit more positive? Let's dive into it. Positivity versus negativity. This is one that I actually think about all the time because you guys all know the person that you get around that's just negative. You get around them, you start talking, you're excited about something, and they're just so negative about it. You're like, man, what do I need to do to get this person to be a little bit more upbeat? Oh, I can't wait to do this and this and this. Well, yeah, there's probably going to be a traffic jam on the way there. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to go do this. This is going to be such an exciting event. Yeah, we're probably going to lose. Gosh, you're just so negative all the time. We know that person. And then on the contrary, we can also think about the person that's positive all the time. You go down to a situation and they're just like, yes, this is going to be the best situation ever. I think my mother-in-law right off the bat, like every situation she goes into, she's just got a smile on the face. She's ready to go do it. It doesn't matter what it is. She is just in it to be there and to conversate and to be there with people. And why can't we be a little bit more like that? And here's what that boils down to. We have been trained to think about things that are going to be defensive. We always think and always, for whatever reason, have to feel like that, okay, we're going into this situation, but what are the things that can happen that are going to go wrong? And we get defensive. Those are the ways that we typically think about things instead of the contrary of, man, what is it that I can do in this situation to help make it better? What can I do in this situation to think about the positives? And I know I've brought this up a few times in the past, but we think about driving down the road and you're going down the interstate and someone cuts you off in front of you. Like, man, I can't believe that they cut me off. But then I start putting myself in other person's shoes. How many times I've done that? And it was never meant to be in a personal attack on the person behind me. It was merely that, you know what, I got to get off on this exit. Gosh, I got to get over and cut this person off. Sorry, a lot of times I do a wave of the hand. Maybe the person thinks I'm flipping the bird. I don't know. But it's never meant in a way that's supposed to be combative. It is just something that has to happen. I'm in a rush. Something goes wrong. And I got to get over quickly. And we think about other situations that may happen like that, is that you're at work and someone says something and they say it in a way that maybe sounds negative. And we automatically put that in our head like, man, that person doesn't like me, or that person doesn't think that I should be blah, you fill in the blank. We have been trained so much to think about situations negatively. And we have to put ourselves, and you guys know by now that this is something I do all the time, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. You have to be able to step back, play devil's advocate and say, is that really what that person meant? But if you change the scenario in your head, that's what I love to do. It's what we need to start doing more of, is change the scenario in your head. Somebody cuts you off right away and you think to yourself, man, what if that person had to make it somewhere quickly? What if their kid was choking in the back seat? I know that's an extreme, but what if we started thinking of things that way? It really sheds light and makes you start thinking about the situation different. Somebody like, man, that person's not, they're not actually choking in the back seat. That's just something to be, if that's the case and you've already got the negative thoughts in your head and you don't want to think positively. So we have to start thinking, how do we want to start thinking more positively? I can think a couple of days ago, we were at my kid's soccer tournament and we were at a restaurant and we were sitting there and my daughter was across from me. And I remember I was looking around and I smiled and my daughter goes, Dad, why are you smiling? Like, well, I'm smiling because I want to be able to put off the vibe that it's a happy vibe. I sit there, a lot of times I'm thinking about times I'm just sitting there looking around. And I actually had a player tell me this when I was playing back in the Arena Football League, and we would go into these meetings, and I never even knew this, but I was in the meetings. And I can always remember when I was sitting in team meetings, and I was always trying to comprehend what the coach was saying, and I was thinking through the situations of the last game and the situations of the game coming up, and I kicked. So there really wasn't a lot of thought process, but at the same time, my mind was just always going. And I have what a lot of people call RBF, and you guys know what that means. But it's just, I'm sitting there, I'm so focused in, and my mind and my face just goes so dark. And I can remember a few days later, we were sitting around the campfire, and we were all talking, and one of the guys talked to us, his name was Emerson, he talked to us like, man, Taylor, you always look like you want to murder somebody whenever we're sitting in meetings. And I was, really? But if you knew me and if you've ever talked to me, you realize that that's not my intent. It's just something that happens. I start thinking about something's in the back of my head. I mean, my wife probably thinks that all the time, but I'm thinking about something and my mind just goes and my face just relaxed. And whenever my face is relaxed, I just look like I want to murder everybody, apparently. So the thought on that is this, is we have to start thinking to ourselves outside of what we see in that immediate moment and start thinking about the situations. Yes, they may have that look on my face, but I guarantee if somebody were to have said something to me, I looked over at them, I probably would have perked up and smiled a little bit. And that's because it's not necessarily the situation that I was looking at when I was in the room at that time. It was the thought processes that were going on in my head. And I just let my face go relaxed. But the reality of it was this, is that people looked at me and thought that I was just frustrated at the world when it couldn't have been further from the truth. I was just deep in thought at that very moment in time. That happens a lot of times. And especially, I mean, I've been around friends before where they start talking like, man, did you hear how that person reacted to that? And instead of getting in and engaging in that, I'd be like, oh yeah, they did react really bad on that, man. What was their deal with that? Instead, it was like, yeah, I'll bet they probably just had something on their mind. And it's trying to change the whole instance. It's trying to change the whole situation that we're in. Another story I got on this was I was coaching my son's football team. It's tackle football team 2 years ago. And I can remember we were an undefeated team. So it's like game 6 or 7, and it was to go to the playoffs or it was the first round of the playoffs. I can't remember, but we were down 14-0, I believe, at halftime. And it was going into the third quarter. And as we went into it, I remember that we took a timeout and all the kids came off the field, and you could just see that every single one of them, you could just see in their face that they were already defeated. I remember I walked out there and I told everyone, I was like, guys, which one of you think that we're going to lose this game? And of course, they're kids, their minds all think the same. Like, well, reality, Dad, looking at this thing here, we're 14-0. We're probably going to lose this game. Almost half the guys raised their hand. And I looked at all of them and I said, you will not lose this game. I can promise you guys that. And I started instilling this in their heads. Like, you will not lose this game. They scored 14 points. We're going to score 14 points. Here's what we have to do. Taking it one play at a time. Those of you guys played those of you guys who played sports in the past realize and know this same conversation. Every single one of your coaches has had this with you, which is why a lot of times, when we have to go through those trials, those tribulations, those things, maybe in an athletic stance or maybe through schooling or whatever it is, we tend to gain a little bit more of that, positivity. We got to be able to win, which takes positivity. But anyway, I'm going through that conversation with them, and you can see all the kids start getting up. They had this adult telling them, hey, you're going to win the game. And they all start believing it. And sure enough, the game came to the end. I think we won by a touchdown or two, and we ended up winning the game. And they all came out the field. I was like, look, guys, it's a life lesson for every single one of you. It has to go with what your thought process is. Every single one of you were negative about that situation. Yes, we're down, but at the same time, if you change the thought process in your head to, you know what? Yeah, we may be down. They did it. I can do it. Change the thought process in your head, went to a positive, whole dynamic of the game changed, and we ended up winning the game. How do you think about situations? How are you thinking about them? Are you thinking about them in a negative connotation or a positive connotation? You want to be successful. You want to do things better in life. Start having a more positive outlook. That's what it boils down to. Have a positive outlook in life that'll help people around you. You don't realize also how many times people look up to you. I can remember I'll call my father-in-law out here real quick. I already called my mother-in-law, called my father-in-law. The situation is at work. I can remember I started working for him, and I would come back on the weekends or something and chat with them, be like, man, the second you walk out into the floor and back where everyone's doing all the work, people you can tell people kind of perk up a little bit. Like, really, me? They think they perk up for me? I was like, yeah. When you come around, people see you and they do their job better because you're out there. And he said, really? I didn't feel like I ever had that. It's like, yeah, even when you walk out, you have an RBF as well. Like, you just kind of have that look about you and just joking with them, of course. But at the same time, it's like, you got to have that instilled in you. It's that look. People, a lot of times you don't even realize it, but people are looking up to you. People are looking to you for responses. I mean, think about parents. I can think about the conversations I have with my kids and sometimes how I react to things. I think, man, my kids just saw me react that way. Why did I do that? They look up to me in these situations. You don't realize the people around you that are looking towards you. Here's what that takes. In order to be more positive, you have to a lot of times go against the grain. You have people who are getting in a conversation. They start talking about something. Maybe it's a little bit more of a negative feel in the conversation. It takes the person to have that positive feel. People respond to positivity. Anybody can talk negative about a situation. A confident person is going to talk positively about a situation. A person who isn't as confident in themselves is going to talk more negatively about a situation. And that's not to say out there the positive, negative people are always positive or negative, who are outgoing or not outgoing. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is this. A majority of the time, for a person to step in and turn a conversation from negative to positive takes a confident person. But here's what happens when that happens. You don't necessarily get negative feedback from the people around you. They tend to change their tone of like, gosh, I am being negative about this situation. I need to step it up, be a little bit more positive. Okay, think about situations you've been in where maybe you were saying something negative and someone said, hey, you know what? And they had a positive spin or a positive light on it. It made you kind of snap out of that. Okay, we have to be willing to step up. We have to be willing to be more positive if we want to be successful. Situations I can think about as well where the power of positivity and how this has really changed myself. I can think back to even, there's a lot of situations that have happened like this, but I got one particular, it's a random situation, but there's a lot of situations like this, which I can go down. But I can remember back when I was in high school, and I remember I left something in the classroom. And I was going back to school, and the school was closed. And I went and I hit the front door, and it was closed. And the person I was like, "Hey, you know what? It's locked. We just need to look for it tomorrow." And I thought, you know what? No, I think I can get in here. So I went around to the next door. Like, look, all the doors are locked. So I went around, stood at the next door, and I looked out in there for a second. I saw somebody. I just kind of gave them a quick wave, "Hey," and they came down and they let me in the building. And like, "Hey, here's a situation. I got to get down." And boom, I was able to go, and I was able to get, it was my wallet or something to that effect. But I was able to go and get it and bring it out. But why was it? It's because I had a positive thought process when it came to that situation. Instead of just saying, "Dang it, it's locked, we got to go," I was able to walk up to the door, say, "Hey, can I get in real quick? I found somebody." It was a split second thing. It was just random that person was there. But how would I have done that if I didn't have the thought process of, you know what, there's a chance, let's go for it. The same thing with the football team. You know what, guys, there's a chance. Why would we not go for it? There's multiple situations that have happened in my life. And I can think about even the building that I'm in right now that we purchased for the company. I can think back, man, we have this limited budget right now when we were looking to buy the building. We just can't really find anything in that budget, but I just went looking anyway. Okay, I'm going to find something. And I looked and I didn't find it. And then this other thing popped up. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go look anyway to see what's going on. And it was like, boom, flash sale. Right at the price point I needed to be, in a perfect situation. It was because I didn't just give up when somebody said no. It was, you know what, I'm going to go for it anyway. Even if people don't think it's the right thing, I'm going to go for it. Now, there comes restrictions on that. There's times where, we have elders or people above us say, "Hey man, you should really kind of maybe pump the brakes a little bit. Let's think about the situations that we're in right now." But then there's just the negative person like, "Yeah, there's not a shot." That just drives me that much more. And I think that's what drives a lot of successful people in life. And again, we go over the definition of successful people. Successful people are someone who's happy, someone who's enjoying the situation they're in, someone who enjoys their work. Those are all successful situations. Successful people always look for the positive in situations. They don't let people tell them, "No, it can't be done." That just drives you more. That's what happens when we have positive thought processes. It's like, you know what? You think it's negative? I see it in my head. It goes back to like season 1. How do you see situations in your head? Do you see it clearly? Like, this is like, I know this situation. We talk about back, last episode when I talk about really going through the process of, if you're planning an event, okay, I'm going to come to the event now. Okay, I'm sure, do I have a place to park? What happens when I walk in the front door? Where are all the candles set up on the birthday cake? Where's the birthday cake? Where do I put my presents? Is the whole thing thought out? Yes, it's thought out. Then you should be confident in it. Be positive in it. When people tell you that it can't be done, they heard it for the first time. Of course they're telling you it can't be done. You've thought about this for a long time. You know that it can be done. Okay, go with your thought process. Go with your positivity. Make sure that we're being positive. Positivity is contagious. You have something negative to say, don't say it. You have something positive to say, be the light to the people around you. Don't be scared in negative situations to be able to add a positive spin to it. It's going to get people thinking differently. People are scared to step out of their comfort zone, and sometimes that comes from low self-confidence. Give the people the confidence around you. Give those people confidence around you to be able to also speak up and be positive. Create opportunities for people to do that. Steer conversations. Be the positive light. It's so easy to be grumpy. We all think that, the people around us, this is how they think. You don't know how people think. You have no idea how people think. As a matter of fact, we go back, I keep going deeper and deeper into this, I know, but we go back and we even think about people that we'd say, like, disagreements that we've had with people. I can think about, like the far right, the far left, when it even comes to like politics. The disagreements that we have is they're so far. If you really look at 80% of the population, we all have a pretty neutral thought process. It's the extremes both directions, okay? Don't just assume someone says, "Hey, I'm here," someone says, "I'm here." We don't assume that they're the far opposite direction of us. Find middle ground. Find things that we can talk about. Find things that we actually bring positivity out with people, instead of immediately assuming like, "Oh, this is what this person thinks, not the person I want to be with. Oh, this is what this person thinks, not who I want to be with." Find positivity. I can honestly tell you that I get along with everybody. Someone can walk in with a so-and-so hat or a so-and-so hat that are completely opposites. I will find middle ground with those people, because I know that those people aren't coming into a situation looking for an argument. People are coming into a situation because they want to communicate. People are coming into a situation looking to find common ground. What we do is we put our defense mechanisms up a lot of the time. And when we see those defense mechanisms, we think to ourselves like, "Oh, this person's being really negative." Some people just aren't outgoing. We have to give them reasons to be more positive. Be the positive light. Be the person in the situation that is the positive ion, that is bringing positivity to the situation. If we do that, we will start seeing more growth. When you start seeing more growth, things are going to start looking a lot more open for you. You start seeing a lot more opportunities that start arising because you're able to say yes to more things. You're able to say, you know what, I'm going to go against the grain. You know how I know when to do something? Is when it scares the living heck out of me. When that scares me and I think, why am I not doing this? Why am I saying no? Why am I being negative about the situation? Is it because I'm scared? Yeah, it's because I'm scared. Then I'm going to do it. Those are the situations I want to do because I want to challenge myself, okay? You're in a situation, it's negative, turn it positive. Be the light in the room. That's what it boils down to. We think back to the last episode where, it was more of a doomsday episode, which again, I apologize for, but it was just getting people to start thinking. And I didn't mean for it to come across that way, but it could sound like I was being so negative. But in reality, I was just trying to bring more light to things, get people to start thinking about things a little bit more. So in those situations, we think about, instead of being negative, how can I be positive? And here's something I'm going to challenge all of you with. When you go throughout your day, today, tomorrow, whatever day it is, try instilling this. When you wake up in the morning, try thinking to yourself, how can I go about being positive about the situations that I approach? And I'm not saying that you have to be saying yes to everything and you have to go down the road of just being a happy-go-lucky person. But you know the reactions that happen. You get out of bed, you're tired first thing in the morning, maybe your kid says something, your knee-jerk reaction is to just say something negative. Here's what it boils down to. Saying nothing is better than saying something negative. Saying something positive is better than saying nothing. Okay, that is a common trend to look at. You want to say something negative, just if you don't have to say anything, just don't say anything at all. I know we learn that as kids, but it's a great thing to check yourself on. You get up in the morning, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kids, they say something to you, and their first knee-jerk reaction right off the bat is just to say something that's negative. Does it need to be said? Here's what's so great about ChatGPT and all those other platforms now is that when I go to clean up my emails, it takes all the stuff out that I don't need to say. And it starts reading a lot better because I'm trying to put out there what's in my head, but it puts out the things that maybe I don't need to say, and it checks me a little bit. Do the same thing to yourself. You start going on a situation, maybe it's going to be a negative situation, and you want to say something about it. Just don't say anything at all if you can't say something positive. That's how you have to check yourself, is putting yourself in the situations where you have something positive to say. You're putting out the positive energy. Once you start doing that, here's what happens. You start believing it yourself. Even if you don't necessarily believe it and you know you're just putting on a face to be positive, you start putting out a more positive vibe. People want to be around you. I tell this to my kids all the time when they go to school. I'm like, look, if you want to be the person that's liked, if you want to be the person that the kids want to be around, be positive to them. Compliment them. I say this almost every single day when my kids leave the house. It's like, look, make sure and compliment your friends today. Make sure and say something positive to every single one of your friends. Make sure and tell them that they're doing something good, because as you do that, that's the people that people want to be around. Those are the people that people want to be around, are the people who have positive things to say. Think of, again, I'm going to put yourself in other people's shoes. Think about when people come up to you and say, hey, I really like what you're wearing today. Maybe you spent extra time. You love the outfit that you're wearing. You did your hair a little bit different. And someone comes up to you and said, hey, I really like how you did your hair. It fills your emotional tank full. Do that to other people. You want to make more friends? You want to have more people that want to be around you? Be a positive light. If you're that person out there that says, you know what, I just don't have a whole lot of friends, I can't just really get along. Maybe you're that person, and it's a reality check. It's a sucky reality check, but sometimes we have to have it, which is, you know what? Maybe I'm the person that if I'm sitting in a situation, I'm sitting in the bleachers at a game, and I check myself here too. A lot of times I go, my sister-in-law and my wife are dance coaches here at the local high school, and I go to a lot of games. I'm sitting in the bleachers, and sometimes I'm sitting there and I just have this look about me, and I have to remind myself, hey, just smile. So I'll be sitting there and all of a sudden I'll just check myself into a smile. What does it take to do? It takes nothing for me to do. But it then invites other people that are around me to say, hey, maybe this person wants to actually talk to me instead of that person just sitting there like they're sulking. So in closing, I want to talk about the power of positive thinking again. So when we approach people, we talk to people. Instead of just going up to somebody and we say, hey, how we doing? It's give that person a reason to say something positive. Don't give the person a reason to just say anything. Give those people maybe reasons to say something positive to us. Instead of saying, man, how's it going? Maybe we go up to that person and just say, hey, talk to me about that big win yesterday. Give them reasons to talk about something positive. Hey, talk to me about that promotion that you just got. Hey, talk to me about whatever. You fill the blanket. You do that, you give people a chance to say something positive. Hopefully you guys got encouragement from today. I know I'm amped just thinking about this right now. Be the positive light. There's nothing that can go wrong in positivity. Be positive to the people around you. I hope you guys are able to take something from today, apply it to your everyday life. I know I am. If you have, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay sharp and stay resilient.